Hello, everyone. Good morning. On behalf of Jada Real, thank you for joining us today. My name is Wenbo, and I'm part of the client success team in JDR. Today, I will be your moderator for the session titled Mexico 2026 Must Knows, Tax Foreign Labor Briefing. Today, we are honored to have with us Blanca Montaño, Maquiladora Industry Lead Partner, Lidia Luevano, Foreign Trade Director, and Aliana Flores, Labor Director from JDR. Blanca Montaño is Certificate Public Accountant accredited by the Mexican Institute of Public Accountants. She graduated from Autonomous University of Baja California, holds a master's degree in finance from the University of Guadalajara, and specialty in tax and legal services from University Panamericana. In addition, she has completed her education with a diploma in senior management from CETYS University in Tijuana. Lidia Luevano holds bachelor degrees in international relations from the Autonomous University of Nuevo León. She also holds master degrees in senior management from EBC, a prestigious business school in Mexico, which has provided her with extensive experience in international trade. Moreover, she has been invited as guest speaker at Mexican Brazilian Chamber of Commerce, the Mexican Argentina Chamber of Commerce, and Index, among others. Aliana Flores holds bachelor degree in accounting from Autonomous University of Baja California. Moreover, she earned a certificate in human resource management from CETYS University in Tijuana. Aliana has more than 14 years of experience in payroll and human resources, with extensive knowledge in applying and interpreting the Federal Labor Act, the Social Security Act, and Infonavit, as well as their corresponding regulations. She also has payroll tax experience across different states in Mexico. Welcome, Blanca, Lidia, and Aliana. Now, I would like to turn the floor over to Blanca to begin the session.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Wen. We're going to start with the tax part, tax reforms, the practical considerations, and SAT focus areas. As you may have already seen, tax reforms are not like there's no big tax reforms in income tax. There's some sectors that do get affected. However, that could affect the companies are in the federal tax code. So why don't we start first with like in Mexico in 2026? If you want to rescue the main important part of Mexico in this tax part of the webinar, this is something that I would like you to focus, no? What are we gonna see? The enforcement of SAT. SAT is doing a lot of work. They're doing a lot of legwork. They're doing their job on collecting taxes. They're doing it on a smart way, like they're using AI, they're using all the technology they need, and they're using it in real time. They're doing it because they have very big goals of collecting taxes, and technically they don't have new taxes and they don't have new tax rates. As you see, the income tax rate stays the same. Technically there's no more taxable revenues in the income tax, the same in VAT. There's some changes in the products and services, the IEPS tax, that may affect the individuals, like such in increases in sodas, in some of articles of daily living. But for companies, there's not big change on taxes. So what is the risk that the companies have in Mexico today? It is more about what we're doing now, like what we are executing, how our business is how do you say how our business is functioning, if it's consistent with what we're doing, what we're saying, and what we're showing to the tax authorities. Because they're saying in Mexico, no, like, don't do good stuff that looks bad. So in this case, this is like what we have to be careful about, consistency with what we're doing. Compliance goes beyond filing. What does this mean is that it's not just like many years ago that I would say, oh, I don't have time to do my tax return, just file it in zero so that the tax authorities don't like realize that you haven't filed your tax return. Not anymore. Right now, as soon as you do that, and if the tax authorities can see because of your CFDIs, etc., they can see that you owe taxes, like let's say income tax withholdings from your payroll. So I don't know, I've seen like 2 or 3 days past that some company that didn't like pay those taxes, they get an automatic request to pay those amounts. So yes, it's not filing only, it's also a lot of what we were saying, a consistency, teamwork in between the areas where that we have in our companies. Which areas are those? Tax, custom, payroll, production. And this is basic for all companies, but sometimes the most basic principles are not met, no? Like we see a lot of companies that the tax team doesn't talk to the trade team, etc., or payroll is in their own, like it is with HR and they don't communicate. So this is a recommendation is we need to be working together. For maquiladoras, it is years of big changes. 25 is going to be the first year that maquiladoras are paying taxes with safe harbor only. Apparently, there's some kind of possibilities of doing a bilateral APA, but not for everybody. And also, it looks like it could be burdensome, like for in relating to work, and also like expensive, no? But in this case, that's why we're gonna be talking about the importance, and I believe a lot of maquiladoras have already done it, like during 2024. Do your studies, do your analysis of if it's still reasonable to be a maquiladora, no? La maquiladoras is it's a very good tax regime that makes or that lets foreign residents come into Mexico, bring their machinery equipment and their inventory into a maquiladora and process that those goods for posterior export. And all this is while protecting the permanent establishment from the foreign tax resident. No? So it's always been a very beautiful tax regime. However, well, right now it could be expensive for some. And finally, this is something that it is the utmost importance: substance. You've seen that right now they're going against like deductions that only have an invoice, even if you want to get a refund, or that's the most common like thing that you can see, that, oh, I didn't get my refund because I only had one invoice and it was covering let's say a construction, no? So everything must have that substance. Everything that your company does, it needs to have that defense file, no? So for an introduction, as the Mexico tax compliance snapshot is, be prepared. That's the most important thing in life and also in taxes, no? Like our companies need to be prepared to be able to defend ourselves, but precisely like in a preemptive way. So can we go on to the next slides? We're gonna see a little data, precisely why we need to be, I wouldn't say worried, Like when we're preoccupied, we gotta occupy ourselves, you know. So this is the historical tax revenue collection from the tax authorities. As you see, on a nominal way, like that means that it's not adjusted with inflation. Like they, like every year they go keep going up and up on the revenue. Finally, in 2025, also they are showing off all the time that they have gotten a historical record tax collection, no, in 2025, because the adjusted, that is after inflation, was the increase was 4.8%. So what is this telling us? Like there's no new taxes, there's no new or increase income tax rate or increase VAT rate. They're collecting more, so we gotta be aware of that. And this is the federal revenue law changes related on how the tax authorities, how the government is expecting to collect taxes, but also how it changed from one year to another. No, so in all of them, they're expecting increase, except on the exploration activities of hydrocarbons and oil goods. However, and we're noting here, and this is for all the companies that are doing foreign trade, that are like that it's basically almost everybody, like in some how or another, we're all part of the trade, and it's hitting everybody. And that's why also our webinar today, Lydia is gonna help us on their perspective, because if you can see, this is very preoccupying us, that they're expecting for foreign trade taxes to increase on almost 70%, and tax surcharges and others also. So if your company has, let's say, an IMEX program, VAT certification, well, also we already know that they're going, the trade agencies are going against these type of programs. Um, really, so like there should be an investment environment that actually wants to bring more this type of companies to produce in Mexico. But well, and finally, the macroeconomic projections. And this is something it's important to see how the tax authorities are doing all their programs, how some of the GDP projections are saying, well, we think we're gonna grow like up to 2.8%. Really, the most of the economic data in like even Banco Mexico and others similar, they don't go more than 1.3%. And really, it's a year, as well as 2025 was a year, but 26 is kind of the same, of a lot of um, changes, or we're waiting a lot of things, like we're waiting for the USMCA, we're waiting for the IMEX 4.0, we're waiting for what is like President Trump's gonna say. So yes, all these uncertainties are driving the companies a little worried, and a little well, it's not an investment scenario or environment. But that's why in this moment is just to be aware of what we're doing, keep doing what we're doing, and protect any type of tax risk that we can see. About tax reforms, we had said there were none important. However, there are some in the federal tax code reforms that you should look into them. No? The first one is are related to the fake invoices procedure, or EFOS. How it was before is that it was stated, and stated still in Article 69B. However, the procedure was lengthy. It would give you more days to react, no? And this also probably was seen like not ideal because it could have like let's say it says 50 days to get a resolution, etc. So it could be give uncertainty to even to taxpayers that had bought or that had bought or purchased not purchased goods from these people that were trying to say, hey, I'm not giving fake invoices, I'm just like, please like write me off from that list. So they're saying, yeah, that's too lengthy, let's do it like quicker, no, let's solve this in 24 business days. And everybody says, well, that's good. However, for the person, the individual or the corporation that needs to clarify their situation, like the the period to do that, to defend yourself, it is shorter. So from one point it is good for everybody else. However, for that individual, that corporation that needs to clarify their situation, well, it's gonna be a shorter period. Related to the electronic seals, the sellos, certificados de sellos digitales, before there was a process where first they will let you clarify before suspending. Right now they're suspending it right away. There's so it suddenly you want to like make an invoice, a payroll invoice, and then you won't be able to do it, and that's how you will get to know. And so yes, that's not ideal. As always, in this case, or in any case, we suggest for you to have a tax advisor and a tax attorney in hand all the time. Um, we might need it. The cancellation of the CFDIs, of the tax invoices. Before, it used to be December 31st, which didn't leave us with a lot of leeway to correct some stuff that you can see when you're doing your tax return or you're like reviewing your tax closing of the year, which you do in the first months of the year. Um, this is a good change where the tax authorities are letting us cancel until our annual tax return. For corporations is March 31st, and for individuals is April 30th. So in this case, if you have any kind of correction, you have until this date to do it. About the legal representative, also partners and shareholders. Before, there was nothing like this in the federal tax code. However, right now, if you want to register a new company and some of these resources, some of these persons, individuals are listed, are blacklisted, your company is not going to be able to register or get a tax ID number, no? So in this case, it is important to do, and I'm not going to say background checks because it is precisely just do your work on checking that everybody is not blacklisted. If they're blacklisted, like try to cut, either fix their blacklisted or ask them to get to fix their blacklisted. Also, either separate them from your company, because if not, you won't be able to get a tax ID number. Regarding the CFDI, there's requirements for your companies to be able to deduct the purchase of, let's say, gasoline, gas, any type of oil, hydrocarbons and oil products. Now there's a need to add the permit of that company to sell this kind of goods. If it doesn't come, we won't be able to deduct the purchase of this, like diesel. There are a lot of machines use diesel, gas, etc. No, so gasoline. So in this case, it is very complicated also because now operatively we've talked with this sector, and they say that permits may last like around 2 years to be given to these companies. So there's going to be a lot of non-deductibility, but if not, it is important that you check that you're at least who you're buying your main supply of this type of oils, well, that have this permit. And finally, regarding digital platforms, before the data was sent on a monthly basis, right now it's going to be how do you say, a real-time access. So you'll have to send a notice precisely to get this to give them access to the system, to the tax authorities. This is one of the good things that came in 2026, a tax regularization program, which the tax authorities have done before. The last year there was another program like this. However, the threshold to be able to use this benefit increased a lot. Like last year was 35 million pesos. Right now it's 300 million pesos. So really, like last year I saw it was for small and medium companies. Right now 300 million pesos is a good threshold for companies to be able to get into this program. This program, you can use it if you're under an audit and you have already been assessed the tax liabilities. You still have to pay the tax liability. That one, they don't take it away, but they do take away penalties, surcharges, and enforcement costs, which it is a very good saving because, as you remember, depending on the fines, but the fines can be up to the 100% of the amount of the liability. So it is a good reduction if you need it. You cannot apply it if you already applied for the program last year. This is just informative. It's important to know that it is very expensive to owe to tax authorities because it's gonna cost you at least 24% a year of surcharges, plus the inflation. As you remember, the inflation last year was almost 3.5%. So then this year they're thinking around kind of. So it is expensive. It is not ideal, and everything is getting more expensive. As you see, even for the withholding for savings of the interest in the financial system is going up. And this is one of the worst news that we have. This is not I'm saying worse. It's not going to affect you directly right now. However, it does leave taxpayers a little defenseless because to be able to technically sue the tax authorities, you'll have to post this security. What does it mean? Let's say you get a VAT refund application that it got denied, and probably they're asking some kind of like or let's say an audit, no, that they're saying that you owe. Let's go for the audit. You owe 100 million pesos, no? And well, you don't agree, and then you want to go to to sue them with the administrative appeal, and there's several steps in for the legal matters, but they're saying, okay, go ahead, but you have to secure to warrant the 100 million pesos. So in order for you to be able to fight it, you have to pay first. So it is gonna be very burdensome for some people, for a lot of taxpayers, and this is not ideal for operation. And something that came in these days, probably last week, it's the 2026 tax collection master plan. As you may have seen, this comes every year, and the tax authorities are letting us know what is their interest on the companies, what they're going to audit, And it's not that they're only going to audit this, no, but that's what they want the taxpayers to be aware that they're going to go against. So they're doing what they want to do, taxpayer culture. They want to like have the taxpayers complying. Really, if you see a lot of the taxpayers, the taxpayer base, it is compliant. The problem is that most probably half of the country is not even registered. No, it's informal. So at the end, the tax authorities always want to collect on the same base. So that makes a big burden on the taxpayers that are registered. This is something that please take into in consideration. What is going here, or what we can see here, technically they're saying the tax authorities there, this is what I don't want to see in your company. I don't, if I see it in your company, means you are a bad taxpayer and that you may be doing tax fraud. However, and we may say our company, we don't fall into anything of this, no? Like I'm not a bad taxpayer. I'm not a tax defrauder. But we gotta remember the tax authorities are going to go into the worst like case scenario. They're going to say, ah, like you have this company that is doing services, but where's your all the how do I say, where's all your employees, where's all the machinery, where's all your clients? They don't want fake companies, but that's why sometimes when you get like tax domicile visits, it is important that you answer correctly, because sometimes if it's someone that doesn't know about the company, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, I don't know where are the employees or etc. No, like we've had the cases that the person that is at responding to the tax authorities don't know how the even the process works, and then the company ends up with a bad problem, no? Companies with recurrent tax losses, because the tax authority says that it's not sustainable, and yeah, that could be a very red light for them. Consistencies between import purchases and sales. If you have those kind, for starters, you have this type of imports and this kind of operation. Also, if you have um, imports that are lower than the market value, like they will assume that you are not declaring the total value of the, and so that you don't have to pay all the taxes that they import. No, so they're always going to be thinking bad, sadly. Deductions lacking economic substance. As I was telling you, we see this a lot with the VAT refunds. It is important that your VAT refund is well documented. It's not, you cannot document it only with the invoice. You need at least you need like an agreement, like a contract. And I won't go like into like detail, but remember, like they're saying not only like the private contract, it has to be notarized so that I can have certainty that that contract was there on the date that you said it was there. So it's like it's a big compliance issue. And then if you're doing some kind like with services, they want to see evidence that the service was provided, because what if like they're charging, let's say, oh, they're charging me $10,000 for a report. Okay, let me see the report. Okay, let me see the individuals doing or the companies doing the report have the credentials, or let me see etc. No, let me see the back and forth your emails, etc. um, Also, if you have, let's say, services that go into your company, they want to see like a schedule or registries that the personal, like, or their personal came into the companies. For also for goods or machinery, like, for example, they have asked for photos, and sometimes companies don't even like have like even purchase orders. So we gotta be careful on how we're backing all of our transactions. Aggressive use of tax incentives, and in this case, as I was telling you, like we may say, like, you know what, I use incentives, but why is it aggressive? Like the tax authorities could say that the IMEX program and the VAT certification is aggressive because they're not paying taxes in the VAT, and actually they're saying that's what sometimes they're saying in the papers. No, they're saying, oh, like these companies are not exporting everything what they said. Like really, like we cannot say that they're non-bad companies, but there's like most of the maquiladora industry exports their goods, returns their goods that imported on a temporary basis. Unreported income or unidentified deposits, failure to comply with withholding obligation, obviously it's a no-no. Filing proper refund claims in this case, yes, they might refund you and then say that was not good for you, and that's where they're gonna like go and not be happy about it. And finally, if your company is paying less tax compared to their industry sector, remember that the effective tax rates were given for the large taxpayers. In this case, it's good that you can do that comparison at least to see that you are in on average, or if you're not, like if there's a good explanation to it. More information to be prepared because it's very low cost to audit, to audit the companies, and it's very profitable. The audits that are programmed for 26, obviously it looks like they're gonna audit a lot of small and medium companies. However, as you've seen in the news, their main tax collection comes from large taxpayers, which is kind of like the 80-20 that happens in any place. No, the large taxpayers are the biggest clients for the tax authorities. And this is to ending the last part of in tax. What are the SAT or SAT expecting from us? What do they want to see when they go and audit you? They want to see that you have a strong internal controls on your data. And that we see it a lot with tax administrations. When you gain trust from them, when they see that you have all the documents, you have all if they ask you integrations of information, they ask you documents, they ask you for explanations, etc. All that, if it's gaining their trust and they can see, oh, this company, it is not a risky company, you know. Real-time reconciliation. In this case, as we were talking about, it is real time. They're not gonna wait a year to audit you, and probably not a real audit, but like a request of information, an invitation, because right now they already have all the information with the CFDIs that you're issuing. They can get your revenue, which withholdings are like retrieving, what trade customs you're getting into Mexico, etc. And then you put that into your tax return, and then you put that in your electronic accounting, and then if the tax authorities do a match, like that is automatically nothing matches, that's where like the red lights are going to come out. Consistent narratives, and we were saying across the lines in your company, it's a must. And evidence of business substance and decision making in Mexico. No, it is very important that the business substance, it's a must for what you're doing, but also what you're purchasing. And our final recommendations, well, in this case, is perform a preventive compliance diagnostic. It's better that you know where you're standing. If there's some skeletons in your closet, it's better that you know that they're there, that to get a surprise, no? To see how you can mitigate risks. right now is that how can mitigate risk, and also if you already identify that you have some sort of weakness, like how you can get better, no, like not just go and keep doing the same thing. um, Aligning your tax, customs, payroll, and transfer pricing teams. In case if you're a maquiladora, we'll review your safe harbor, your profit levels, review if it's something that is still good for you, for your company. And finally, prepare for more electronic audits, no? Like not just traditional ones, and prepare for them to be anytime. Anytime is good for them. So that's all for the tax part. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can please post them in the chat part. We can review them at the end of the presentation, and I'm going to give the word to Lydia Luevano, our tax director, and with a lot of experience in the trade part.
Thank you so much, Blanca, and thank you so much to everyone for joining and this meeting. So I'm very happy to be here as Blanca and Wembo at the beginning of this webinar mentioned. I'm Lydia Luevano. My name is Lydia Luevano. I'm the Foreign Trade Director in Jota del Rio, and today we are going to talk about the trendy topic of the moment, that is customs. Customs and foreign trade are now the most common words that we have here during the last months, because we have a lot of change. We have a lot of modifications in the customs law and the general foreign trade rules. And we have a lot of implications, paying taxes, paying duties related with customs. So it's very important to have all this information ready and to know how to proceed, because we are in a difficult moment, and we need to know. And if we have all the information, we will be able to can be in compliance with all the new regulations. So it's very important to have all this information and to know what's happening around us and what's happening in this specific area. But as I mentioned, I will talk about the general foreign trade rules for 2026. And also we have now a new customs law. In my personal opinion, there is three significant change in this customs law. The first of this one is now we have a new rule, and this new rule is related with your customs broker. So during almost all the time, the customs broker used to do their work in the way that they want. Now the authorities has implemented a new rules for the customs broker, and there's a new obligation related with them. So now the customs broker must have integrate a file regarding the users who request foreign trade operations for them, the importers and exporters, basically. So if well before, the customs broker used to have some information by you, now there's an obligation. And if the customs broker is not in compliance with this new obligation, they can lose their patent. So it's their license. So it's very important to know and to understand why your customs broker is requesting a lot of information since this year starts. So one of the information that you must provide to the customs broker is your official identification. That this is easy, so you can check this information because it's easy to get this information from you. Also the articles of incorporation of the company, that this information is also easy, so it's nothing new. You can share that information to your customs broker. It's normal. Other information that you must to share to your customs broker is the contact information, the email address, and telephone numbers. Also, this information is easy to follow. Proof of the address where the activities are carried out is other document that you must share to your customs broker. And also, this point is easy. Until here, everything is it's okay. The company can deal with all these documents because you already have it. The only thing that you need to do is sharing these documents to your customs broker. And later on, we will have the photograph of the place where the activities are carried out, showing the exterior, the premises, machinery, office equipment, personnel, means of transportation, and other means used for the performance of your activities. So also, this new information is easy. You can get this information and you can take photograph of your facilities and share this information to your customs broker. And point number 6. This is one that I really wonder, what are you doing in regards of this specific point that is related with the documentation or support documents or information of the possession of the property of the assets, the fixed assets used to carry out your activities. So you have this information, you must have it. So, but the thing here is, maybe at this moment, even you don't have all this information ready or all this information in the correct way. So now you need to share all the information related with your fixed assets to your customs broker. And the rule is not doesn't show us more details. The only thing that we know is that you must to provide all the information that helps the company to prove that you have the support documentation regarding the legal state of your fixed assets. But maybe it's for what? 1 line, 2 lines of production, the entire building. So this can be a lot of information that you must have ready in order to share this information to your customs broker. So do you have it? Do you really have it? And if you have it, is that information okay? So I think that that's the question to you. So, and it's very important to know that now is an obligation for your customs broker. And it is not enough to have your own controls regarding this information. You must share this information to your customs broker, and your customs broker must be able to show this information to the authorities. So this specific point is one of the most difficult points, is in my point of view, because can be a lot of information and nobody knows if this information is okay or not. So maybe today you are in a process in order to labeling all your fixed assets. Maybe you are making amendments to your pedimentos in order to have the correct information in them. So it's something that you must be in mind and must be aware that your customs broker can request this information to you. And also, if we continue with the documents that the customs broker is able to request to you as the tax ID, it's also check it. You can share this information to them. Your updated status, your positive opinion updated. Also, you will be able to share this information to your customs broker. And now we will have a lot of free letters in order to state that you are not in the blacklist of the SIT. So you need to share this free letter signed by your legal representative to your customs broker, and also that you are not, you don't have a resolution or something that say or states that you are making fake invoices. So this topic about fake invoices is really important in Mexico now, because there's a lot of companies that maybe are doing this kind of bad activities, and the authority knows, and everything that is related with these companies, these kind of companies that are in a non-compliance position with authority, is a risk for you. And and also the customs broker now is an arm from the SIT in order to review that all the importers and exporters are doing in a correct way their operations. So it's not only the SIT reviewing your information, the SIT is using to the customs broker, and also is using to all the companies, because also you have the obligation to verify that all your clients and all your suppliers are in compliance with the SIT and with their tax obligations. So it's very important to know that everybody is reviewing something, and everybody is going to have a consequence if you avoid these new obligations, or if you avoid to review if your supplier is paying its taxes or not. So you also are reviewing, and you are also helping to the SIT to review all these new obligations, that all these new obligations are in compliance with all the new changes. And the last point that is a point number 11 that you can see in this slide, it's another, and I think that also among with the point number 6 related with the fixed assets, it's the most important change, because is any other document that the customs broker deems sufficient to evidence compliance with obligation. So in this last point, we can have a lot of other documents that the customs broker is able to request to the companies in order to verify your compliance with your customs operations. So this change is very important, and you must be aware that now the customs broker must have this file completed. And if your customs broker is requesting a lot of information, now you know why, because they can lose their license if they don't have this kind of controls, internal controls of your files and of your information. So one of the actions that we suggest in order to can mitigate the change is implement internal controls and compliance checklist. So one suggestion is that, for example, for this specific new rule, you need to have a checklist of information, and you need to review if you have all this information ready, because if you want to have a deal with a new customs broker, you need to share all this information to them. And if your current customs broker is not requesting any additional information, maybe you need to think about it, because if your customs broker is not worried about its own business, how is taking care your business? So um, it's important to have all this information. It's important to have this checklist in order to know if you have all the information ready. And as I mentioned, the point number 6 that is related with the fixed assets, and the last point that is an open point, in my point of view, is are the most important points that you must to take care and to verify if you have all this information ready. And well, there is another new rule that has documents or records that prove the foreign trade operation. There's another trendy word nowadays that is materiality. So the authority is looking for the materiality of your operation, and the foreign trade rule changed in order to introduce new controls to can validate that all your operation exists, so that you are doing the things in the way that the authority wants to have that information or things or activities, and also that exists, that is a real operation. So in general terms, it's your obligation as importer or exporter have documents or records that evidence that the foreign trade operation was actually carried out. So what are the documents that you must include in your files? The last rule was regarding the customs broker file. This new rule is related to your internal customs and import-export files. So you need to include operational documentation, and this includes agreements, payments, payroll, real estate, services. In the next slides, we will talk about every single agreement and every single document. Also, you need to include information related with the transaction value, royalties, licenses, technical data information, and also you need to include the resolution issued by the Ministry of Economy related with your IMEX program. So any updated, the obtention, any change, the list of HTS code that you have under your IMEX program. So this information must be able, in case the authority requested. We have the necessity to have a lot of agreements for everything. We need an agreement, and that's something that must be clear, because usually the companies used to use POs, no purchase orders for everything. And now the idea is not to stop using the POs, but you need to complement the POs with the agreements. There's a lot of companies that doesn't have any agreement, even with the customs broker or with the supplier or with the transportation. So now it's necessary to think about it, and it's necessary to create agreements, because the authority will request the agreements. And some examples of the agreements that you must have in your possession is agreements related with the acquisition of the goods. So it's not enough to have only the purchase order. You can have it, you can use it, but the suggestion is that you must to complement this information with an agreement. And also, it's not only the agreement, it's the agreement and the payment or consideration that something that proves the payment of this agreement. The CFDI, so, or equivalent documents, it's necessary to have also these CFDIs in order to prove that you are paying for that service or for that merchandise or for that something. So the first agreement that you must have, it's the agreement related with acquisition of your goods. The second agreement that you must have is the agreement related with the real estate, with your facilities, where your goods are stored or where the production processes are carried out. So you need to have also this agreement, and also you need to have the CFDI in order to prove the payment of your rent. The third agreement that you must have is an agreement or amending agreements or any annex related to the to the use of your fixed assets and machinery and equipment. So it's related with the other point that I was mentioning in the last slide, if you remember. So you need to have the support documentation to prove that you can use the fixed assets that is legal in Mexico. So you need to prove that you can use your facility. You need to prove that this bottle of water is yours. So you need to prove it. And you need to have an agreement. And you need to have the payment of the bottle of water. And another agreement that you must have is agreements related with the provision of specialized services, and also the payment, and also the list of workers who participate in the foreign trade operation, and your respective CFDI with payroll supplement. This is very sensible information, but now it's a new obligation, and it's something that you need to see how you will comply with this. So it's not something that you need to share to your customs broker, but this information is the information that you need to have if the authority requests it. It's your obligation. So now you have an obligation related with the payment of the people involved in your customs operation. And well, there's a lot of much other documents that we need to have. That is all the documents related with the transaction value of the goods. So all the documents that you have in order to prove that you are paying the correct amount. So you need it in your file. The technical data information, brochures, labels, photograph regarding your goods. So the goods that you are importing or exporting. And also we need to have some free letters signed by your legal representative in order to state that you are in compliance with your obligations, that you are not in the blacklist of the SAT, and that you are not doing business with supplier or customer that are included in these blacklists. So you need to review also that. You need to review that all your friends around you are okay with their obligations in Mexico. So obligation, well, also there's a new rule. So at the beginning of the webinar, I start mentioning that there are three main new rules that we have in foreign trade. So this is the third one. So it's related with the virtual transactions. As you may know, in Mexico, we have a scheme of virtual transactions. So our operations that are here in Mexico, and that this kind of operation never cross the border, but can be considered as a temporary operations, as an exportation. So also for this specific scheme, that is the virtual transaction operations, you need to have all the process documented. So you need all the support documentation related with the production process. And also you need to know how these goods were imported in a temporary basis in Mexico, what process have in Mexico, and also the corresponding in the final good, the last pedimento, that is a virtual transaction, and how you transfer all these goods to the other company. So now for virtual transactions, it's very the authority have new obligations, and to the Mexican authority, they don't like this kind of operations because you can simulate operations. And as I was mentioning, the idea of the authority is to prove the materiality of the operation. And using this kind of a scheme, it's very easy to simulate a fake operation. So that's the reason why now we have much more obligations related with the virtual transactions. But well, this is the other change in the rules and in the customs law that you need to be aware. Well, as you know, this is only a friendly reminder that the manifestation of value. So we have a new obligation. We know it because we have been dealing with this new information in the last 6 or 7 years. But now um, we have the obligation in front of us. So the original day in order to start with this new obligation was December the 9. And now, during January, the authority uh, provide additional, on December, the authority provide additional time and extension in order to comply with this new obligation. That is the presentation in an electronic way of the manifestation of value. So the new date is April. So April 1st, by April 1st, you must be able to issue the electronic manifestation of value. And in order to can submit this application and to have all of this specific document, you need to have agreements. Do you remember that we were talking about agreements? So for this new obligation, you need to have agreements, and you need to have the payments, and you need to have a lot of information that you need to submit in order to can get this specific document. So it's very important to you to be prepared for this obligation. It's not new. Well, it's new, but we have heard about this obligation during a lot of time in the past. So I hope that now everybody here have a plan A, B, C, or D in order to start using the new manifestation of value. But well, this is a new change for 2026. So this is all the information that you need to submit with the manifestation of value. That is the commercial value. We already have it. It's easy. Transport documents, we already have it. Easy. Document of origin, when applicable, we already use it. It's easy. Warranty of estimated price, only when applicable. It's easy. Payment of merchandise, payment of goods. This is a new obligations. We have it, but we don't use to do. We as customs people, we don't use to deal with this kind of information. Now we need to prove it, and we need to have this information ready, and we need to submit the payment support information for every single pedimento. So it's very important to have it. And also for the payment, it's there's another, well, the transportation and insurance expenses, it's also easy. It's normal. We used to deal with this information. We used to have additional expenses in our operations, and we used to have these invoices and information. But now also we need agreements. So the agreements and the payment of goods. So it's the point number 5 and the point number 7 in this slide. I think, or in my personal opinion, that are the most complex information that you must take care, because maybe you don't have agreements, you don't have contracts at this moment, and you need to create it. And maybe the payment terms of the goods, you don't have any document that states the payment terms of your transactions. So now you need to create it. So support documents for other expenses is also information that you must to include, and other information and documentation related with the operation. So you need to be in compliance with the new obligation, and if you don't are in compliance, you will have consequences, monetary consequences. So it's important to know about this information, to have all this information ready, and try to be in compliance with the new Mexican obligations related with customs and foreign trade. Well, this is only for your reference, is the difference between a purchase order and international agreement or contract, because with all this change, we need to have a purchase order or an international contract or agreement. Always our suggestion is to have an agreement. You will have less questions by the authority if you have an agreement. So materiality. So I used to I say this word a lot of times during this webinar. So he who affirms must prove. That's the thing. If you say something, you need to have evidence to prove that 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 you have your reason and that the things happens as you say. So support documentation, evidence, defense file, all that kind of words are the words that you need to be aware and to try to comply with. Here you have common examples to prove materiality. So it's with photograph, logs, notices, emails, presentations, agreements, inventory details, purchase orders. So there are only some examples and that you can use in order to can have a complete file. So also, in order to have the complete file, we need to have mandatory documentation. So we need to have documentation related with the commercial, with your goods, commercial documentation. And here we will find commercial invoices, purchase agreements, payment, vouchers, materiality documentation. Also, we need technical support for the HGS code classification. So this is very important too. You need to have the technical data information of your goods in order to can prove that you are using the correct HGS code in order to import your goods or export your goods. Transport and logistic documentation, you need to have the bill of lading, the CFDIs and carrier documentation, customs and tax documentation, non-tariff regulation and restriction. We need to have permits and coding notices, certificates of origin, compliance with the NAMs, and finally also we have imported and export documentation. We need to have the updated file, evidence of the infrastructure of the company, and the manifestation of value, of course. And that's it for my side. So only to summarize, we need to have all this information ready. And I want to introduce Ariana Flores, that is now with us, in order to continue with the webinar. If you have any comment or question, please let us know at the end of the webinar. Thank you, Ariana, and welcome.
Good morning, everyone. We almost finished. This is Ariana Flores. I'm Labor Director at J Del Rio. I will be presenting some practical recommendations related to labor and payroll matters. Well, I would like to briefly walk you through today's agenda. First, I will share payroll recommendations for this 2026. I think this slide is the most important of this presentation, but let me explain the reason. And then I will cover the minimum wage increase for 2026 and the UMA. All these concepts with practical applications. And finally, we'll explain some keynotes regarding the proposal to reduce the number of hours worked per week. As you can see, these are strategic topics that companies should keep in mind and that we believe are important to share with our clients. Well, okay. And on this first slide, we would like to share some key payroll recommendations for this year. The first point is payroll reconciliation. It is very important to confirm that all CFDI accurately reflect amounts paid and are fully aligned with SAT and IMSS records for 2025. This includes validating that the information is correctly grouped and reported. And another important point is to review the annual tax adjustment for each employee to determine whether they have income tax payable or a refund balance. And this second point helps to prevent employee complaints. Usually in this period, it's really usual that we have some complaints for the employees, particularly for those earnings more than 400,000 pesos per year, who may other face an unexpected tax liability. And finally, it is essential to confirm that all withholdings made to employees have been properly paid to SAT. What do we mean by this in this point? We recommend regularly review the payroll tax dashboard as well as the income tax withheld in pay reports to avoid contingencies and to be properly prepared for annual tax filings in early 2026. Additionally, it's important to note that if any payroll CFTI which incorrect information are identified, they might still be corrected no later than February 28th. This point is really important because actually we only have less than 1 month to correct all the CFTI related with the payroll payments. Okay, I think this point is really important because this is the key to avoid putting at risk the deduction of payroll expenses. As we know, the payroll expenses in Mexico, it's a lot. I think in all the companies, the payroll payments are more than 35% of all the expenses of the company. And I think it's really important to review all these points to prepare for your declaration for your annual tax. As of January 1st, there was 13% increase in the general minimum wage and the 5% increase in the northern border zone. We include the amount per month just to be more clear. But the main objectives of this increase are to recover purchasing power and to maintain income levels above inflation. I think this point is really important to know. And additional, this is also part of Mexico ongoing wage strengthening policy. I think is all the increase with the salary, it's related with the policy that we have right now in Mexico. But it's important for companies to consider the impact on payroll updates, salary structure, and overall labor costs and budgets. We see in some companies that we have a little problems because the operative salaries are almost equals with the salaries for administrative personnel. I think it's important to review the impact of this increase because we recommend to review all the salary of all the employees because I think the increase need to be proportionally with activities that employees make in the company. Well, another important adjustment is the increase in the UMA. What is the UMA? The UMA is the unit measurement in Mexico. As of February 1st, the UMA increased 3.7% compared with last year. One key, okay, I will focus especially on payroll related implications. One key area, what is the UMA used for? Administrative fines and penalties, government pressures and fees, credits and obligation, and tax and labor threshold and limits. But these are some key practical applications for company. I think it's the most important of the chains of UMA right now. One key area is grocery vouchers, because usually all the companies give this benefit to the employees. I think it's necessary to consider that we have a new limit per week of this payment. This only to don't consider with taxes, okay? Another point is cafeteria service. This point is for the companies that give the benefit of give cafeteria service of the employees. For this benefit not to be taxable, employee must contribute to the cost. What we can say with this is you need to you need to discount 23.46 Mexican pesos per day for your employer. Do not consider this benefit to be taxable. Additionally, it's important to consider that the salary base for Social Security contributions have an increase, and it's 2,932.75 Mexican pesos per day. All the companies in the payment of February for Social Security with all the employees that have this kind of salaries give a little increase in the payment for this month, for February. It's important to consider. Other point that we will talk today, finally, I will like to briefly address the reduction of the number of hours worked per week. It's important that it is currently a proposal to reduce the legal work week from 48 to 14 hours per week. But it has not yet been approved. Our expectation is a gradual implementation, potentially reducing 2 hours per year, with full implementation by 2030. This means companies should start evaluating cost impacts, staffing needs, and overtime strategies. Our recommendation in this topic, it's always in coordination with Labor Council, because this reduction of working hours has a lot of things that we need to consider. For example, if you need more employees, you need to review the cost impacts, and if you have the plan to include more overtime, it's necessary to review all this process with Labor Council. The key recommendation for this topic is to monitor developments and plan proactively rather than waiting until the change become mandatory. I think this is the key for all the topics that we reviewed today. We need to be monitor developments and plan before the things change to mandatory. And this is the key to be prepared for all the change in Mexico and all the topics, taxes, labor matters. I think it's the key for all. Well, I think from my side, these are the most important recommendations. If you have any questions or comments, we will be happy to discuss them. Thank you very much, and hi, Gwen.
Thank you, Aliana. Thank you, Blanca. Thank you, Lydia. Thank you for this very insightful presentation and a lot of recommendation. I know there are some changes, but there's something we can do to deal with that. So we will now move into the Q&A session. If there are any questions we are not able to get to by the end of the session, we'll be happy to follow up with you afterward. So I've received some questions. I think the first question is, from a tax perspective, what should foreign companies prioritize when entering Mexico? I think it's a question for Blanca.
Oh, thank you, Juan. As in life, I think timing is important. That is that when you're coming into Mexico, you need to study, analyze the environment. You need to understand how Mexico works, and also really ask for help. No, in this case, get a tax advisor. We've seen a lot, or we've have a lot of experiences with companies that come into Mexico and they start operating, but then they have to backtrack because there was no planning, and that can be expensive. on a point of view, an economic expensive, but also on the tax part, no? Because let's say I wanted to be a maquiladora. I started doing everything as a maquiladora, but then, you know what? I want to sell in Mexico. What do I do now? Like, and then there's a totally different structure. So yes, analyze what you want to do, what is the best scenario for you to do business in Mexico, and from that go on forth. That would be the main thing to do.
Thank you, Blanca. So it will be the timing, the planning, and understand Mexico. I received another question about do you anticipate that an extension will be granted regarding to the implementation date of the manifestation of value? I'm sure that's the question for Lydia.
Oh, thank you, and yes, it's for me. I really don't think so. I don't think so. It's we have been waiting a lot of time for this new obligation, and the thing that we have here is that we will start. We're going to start with this new obligation by April. So it's better soon than later to be ready with this new obligation and to be prepared to comply with this new rule and obligation, because we don't expect any additional extension.
Thank you very much, Lydia. Okay, so thank you very much for everyone. I think that brings us to the end of today's webinar. On behalf of JDR, thank you very much for joining us today. If you have any questions, inquiries, or would like to schedule a consultation, please feel free to reach out to us at the email address in the display. So thank you again, and we look forward to staying in touch. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.